A lot of automakers have been hopping on the trend of adding electric vehicles to their lineup, and Acura has decided to do that too with the help of General Motors. With this 2025 Acura ZDX Type S, Acura built an all-new electric vehicle that is heavily based on the Chevrolet Blazer EV. It is now Acura's most powerful product with almost 500 horsepower. So has Acura made a good electric vehicle, or do they still have some work to do? Let's go ahead and find out. As always, let's begin this video by discussing the pricing and the trim level. The ZDX comes in 4 different trim levels: the A-Spec with rear-wheel drive, the A-Spec with all-wheel drive, the Type S, and the Type S with performance wheels and tires. The base model ZDX, which is the ZDX A-Spec with rear-wheel drive, starts at $64,000, which is quite expensive for an Acura product. This Type S model that we have today is sitting at $75,000, which is one of the most expensive Acuras you can buy. So is the ZDX Type S worth $75,000? Let's go ahead and find out. The ZDX has a familiar but unique design. The diamond pentagon grille is blocked off and illuminated for the first time on an Acura, and there is functional ventilation at the bottom. The headlights are very familiar with the jewel-eyed LED design. You get chicane daytime running lights, jewel-eyed LED headlights that are projector style and have 4 individual beams. There are no fog lights, but there is an LED turn signal. The illuminated grille will be on at all times when the vehicle is on. Moving on to the wheels, this is the first time that you get 22-inch alloy wheels on an Acura product. They look really good, and I think Acura has done an amazing job designing these. Also, you get yellow brake calipers, which contrast them nicely. Moving on to the rest of the side profile, you will find a black painted roof, which is a first for the Acura brand, and you will also find chrome on the upper part of the window trim. There is some gloss black surrounding the wheels, which is something Acura likes to do to their Type S products, and there is brushed aluminum on the lower sill. The charge port is right above the left wheel, and the mirrors are going to be fully loaded with heating, blind spot monitoring, auto dimming, and power folding. You might have noticed that the blind spot monitoring icon is from GM. Moving on to the rear end, you will find a gloss black painted bumper at the bottom as well as a subtle spoiler at the top. The taillights are going to look very similar to the MDX's, but they're going to be a little bit more elongated. They will be fully LED with an LED brake lights, an LED reverse lights, and an LED turn signal. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the interior and see what $75,000 gets you on the inside of an Acura. I am a little disappointed with this interior because the materials don't exactly match up with the $75,000 price tag. That is probably because this is very heavily based on a Chevrolet. The door panel is going to be made of soft touch plastic on the upper part, leather wrapped through the center area with red stitching, open pore wood trim, aluminum, 2-person memory seats, all of your switch gear, and there is also a real metal Bang & Olufsen speaker grille. There is a good amount of storage at the bottom, and that is your trunk release right there. These seats are going to have Type S branding, and they come in black or red. We have the black with suede inserts and red stitching. They will also have 16 ways of power adjusting, and they are quite comfortable. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the ZDX's interior. Starting with the steering wheel, it is very nicely leather wrapped and heated. The leather is also perforated. There is one paddle that is to control the regen braking, and then all of your buttons are going to be in matte black plastic. There is also Type S branding on the bottom. You will notice that there is some gloss black on the upper area. That is because this ZDX has GM's Super Cruise function. Super Cruise is GM's hands-free driving assistant, and because the ZDX is so heavily based on the Blazer EV, this car also gains Super Cruise. I think that is quite a nice feature, and I will cover it more in the driving video. The gauge cluster is fully digital and very customizable. You can cycle through a few different views by pushing this button right here. And my favorite has to be the Google Maps view, because if you are navigating somewhere, this can be very helpful. Additionally, there is a head-up display. Unfortunately, materials in the ZDX do not justify the $75,000 price tag. There is some stitched leatherette on the upper dash, but most everything else is plastic. The climate controls are going to be in gloss black, but pretty much everything else is going to be in matte plastic. That is quite disappointing because $75,000, especially for an Acura, is a lot of money. Materials may not be good, but storage is definitely a different story. Because the Acura ZDX has a column-mounted shifter, that opens up a lot of space to the center area. You get 2 cup holders, a big storage tray, a wireless phone charger, and when you open up the center console, there is a ton of space. Unfortunately, it is not felt lined, so sunglasses could get scratched in there. Additionally, there is a center pass-through to put anything else you might have. Climate controls are completely physical, although they don't resemble Acura's newest design. You get physical buttons and knobs, and the knobs feel very high quality, although I don't know if it is made of real aluminum or not. The rest of the buttons are going to be in gloss black. You have your fan speed controls right here, and everything is going to pop up on the main infotainment system. You also get heated and ventilated seats. The main infotainment system in the ZDX is actually running GM's latest software. However, that is not a bad thing because, as you can see, it is very responsive. It is also Google-based, so you get Google Maps, Google Assistant, and Google Play Store. Additionally, you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and GM is actually removing that from all of their electric cars. That is very nice to see in the ZDX because a lot of people are not liking the decision made by GM. Also, the ZDX comes with an 18-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. Like in most GM vehicles, the shifter is actually column-mounted. To go into drive, you're just going to pull back and go down, and for reverse, you're going to go in the opposite direction. That will bring up a relatively high-resolution 360-degree backup camera. There is active trajectory, and the car can actually park itself. Also, there are multiple different views, which is quite nice. There is also a wheel shot so that you don't damage these beautiful 22-inch alloy wheels. Now let's take a look and see how the parking sensors work. When you pull up close to an object, it will actually vibrate your seat, and that is very effective. Also, a graphic pops up right there and on the gauge cluster. In my opinion, the vibrating of the seat is a lot more effective than beeping. If someone has the windows down, they might not be able to hear the parking sensors beeping, but they will definitely be able to feel the seat vibrating. To put the car into park, you're just going to push the end of the stop. Up top, you're going to find a digital rearview mirror, and you can adjust it with the flick of a switch. You'll also find your hazard light buttons and your emergency services, and there is a large panoramic sunroof up top. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the passenger side. The door panel is pretty similar, so you get storage at the bottom, a metal speaker grill, open portwood trim, and 2-person memory seating. The seats are also going to be the same, so you get leather and suede seats with 16 ways of power adjusting. The dashboard will be made of soft touch material with some red contrast stitching, and you will get a center pass-through for storage. In the glove box, there is a good amount of room, but there is no felt lining. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the rear seats. On the door panel, you won't find a ton of storage, but you will get a leather armrest, wood trim, and sunshades. In the back of the ZDX, I have plenty of legroom and headroom, and the seat back is going to be in soft touch plastic, which isn't something I would like to see at $75,000. However, there is a good sized seat back pockets. In the middle, there is a third zone of climate control along with heated seats. At the bottom, you will find 2 USB-C ports and a household-style outlets. There are also vents, and an armrest will fold down with 2 cup holders. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the cargo area and see what the ZDX offers back here. You can open the trunk with your foot, but I'm just going to use the key fob for now. Behind the second row of seats, there is 28.7 cubic feet of space, which isn't terrible, but I was expecting a little bit more considering that this is almost the same size as the MDX. There are 2 very large cubbies on either side, and there is a lot of storage underneath the floor. And that is one of the advantages of an electric vehicle, because it doesn't have so many parts like a gas tank or a drive shaft that take up so much space. But now let's go ahead and take a look at what's powering the Acura ZDX. Even though the ZDX is all electric, you can actually pop the hood and take a look at some electric componentry. The ZDX Type S is powered by two electric motors making 499 horsepower and 544 pound-feet of torque. That is now Acura's most powerful production vehicle, beating out the Acura TLX Type S and the Acura MDX Type S by 144 horsepower. The ZDX Type S comes with 278 miles of range, which isn't fantastic, but is still acceptable. This car weighs 6,052 pounds, and you can add 81 miles of range in just 10 minutes with DC fast charging. The Acura ZDX Type S competes with a lot of different vehicles. The main competitors are the Audi Q8 e-tron Premium Plus, the BMW iX xDrive 60, the Cadillac Lyriq Luxury 2, and the Mercedes-Benz EQE. All of the competitors are very nice cars, offering a lot of screens, a lot of high-end materials, and a very high-end sound system. $75,000 is a lot of money, and if you want to get the most out of your money, it is hard to recommend the ZDX Type S. The materials just don't live up to the $75,000 price tag, and it is very obvious that this is heavily based on a $50,000 Chevrolet. As far as dimensions are concerned, the ZDX is 198 inches long and 77 inches wide. Well, that is going to wrap up today's video on this 2025 Acura ZDX Type S. At the beginning of this video, I pondered if Acura made a good electric vehicle or if they still had some work to do, and I have come to the conclusion that they still have some work to do. $75,000 is a lot of money for an Acura product, and this ties the MDX Type S as the most expensive Acura you can buy. But for $75,000, the materials just aren't there. There is some open pore wood trim, but basically everything else is a soft touch or hard touch plastic. The interior is too heavily based on the Chevrolet Blazer EV, and while the Blazer EV doesn't have a bad design, it is just not fitting of a $75,000 vehicle. If you really want an EV in this segment, I would go for either the Audi Q8 e-tron Premium Plus or the BMW iX xDrive 60. They will give you the most for your money, and they will definitely satisfy you in terms of performance and luxury. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.